We're going to open up the public hearing number 2 on the proposed capital investment plan. This is the final public hearing on our 5-year capital investment plan. Anybody have any final comments on the plan? The changes have been incorporated. The appendix that Jess had come up with was incorporated, which makes it much clearer. Anybody have anything?
Have we created a new department?
Created a new department?
Yeah, for the landscaping.
We have it segregated into the other page. We're sort of moving in that direction. We haven't formally done that. Right now, it's under the auspices of the rec committee. That's what you had voted on in February, and then we established the categories and put them in a separate place so we could read them pretty clearly.
Because initially it was going to be shared with Public Works and Rec, the salary and stuff.
Yes, we restructured from Public Works and Rec, and we put it under the Rec department.
So it's actually not a separate department, it's under Rec.
Correct, but the budget is clearly delineated in the budget.
Anything else there? No? Anybody have anything on the table before I open it up to Chris?
Mr. Mayor, is this something that you're hoping to do in the next 5 years? Is that the intent that says adding on and not adding on, but for lack of a better word, adding on, I guess, to the police department in the basement, or is this just something that you...
It's a guide for the next 5 years. It helps us with the budgeting process. It doesn't mean that we have to do everything in this plan, but we're required to have a plan. And it just basically it helps with the future budgeting. It helps knowing that I just have to open up to the paving. It helps with Tom, shows what roads he plans on paving over the next, 5 years and so on and so forth and for each department.
Sure. And recommended, is that mandated by the state or the feds, or both?
State.
State, yeah.
State.
And I know that you've been talking for a while about a new locker room or office space in the basement for the PD. I heard at one point that maybe the drop-in center was going to be taken out. Is that addressed in here? Is that like still way off in the future?
I'd say it's way off. We've had initial conversations, and we're not pursuing it aggressively right now.
What are the benefits to the city of having this? My recollection, which is foggy, I'm afraid, is that the state has some things that you can participate in if you have a 5-year capital plan that you can't if you don't. Is that correct?
There are some grants that we have filed that want to make sure that you have your 5-year capital investment plan included in the application. Basically, and it's right in the introduction. Did you get a copy of this, Joe?
I just
Okay.
grabbed it.
So if you read the introduction on page 2, it'll outline what its purpose is, what its advantages are, what we're trying to do by having one. And it'll be renewed again next year. We'll go through the same process. There are certain municipalities that regard this differently, that are all correctly done. Richmond, Vermont was the one that I adopted most closely with their format because I thought it laid it out pretty clearly. What they do with their capital investment plan is they actually have a 6-year capital investment plan. So they adopt year 1 as their operating budget. I hope that we'll be able to do that in the coming years. Right now, we're using this as a guideline. There'll be no surprises to anybody as we come forward in the coming years with our operating expenses and our ideas to implement what we need to do for our operating budget. In particular, the road budget. Tom will use this as his guideline for street reconstruction and surfacing. And we're happy to have this. This is an important document for us. And I'm really pleased that we got to this point. It'll be fun to see how it unfolds in the coming year and to continue with its updating. It's important.
Thank you.
I think people have to understand that this 5-year capital plan is not a wish list. It's set in reality. It's things that people are gonna need in the future. And it gives us the opportunity to look at this, and if we need to put it in the budget, it's been out there for a while. So not a wish list, but items of reality.
Yeah, it's a guide to
Right.
to help with us budgeting, to know what we're gonna need.
Mr. Mayor, what the city manager said, that it's I think you said anyway, that it was mandated by the state. If you don't have it, what happens? Do you get a fine? Do you just get refused for state assistance, or
Let's see.
does it say here? I'm sorry.
Is it what?
Does it make assistance here? I'm sorry.
It does say in there, and I didn't revisit this afternoon, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to have one. I mean, there are municipalities that don't have them. I don't think that we want to be one, it's only to our advantage.
Because it would, as the city manager said, it would hinder us in certain grant applications that require a copy of a document like this before you even apply for the grant, or when you're applying for the grant. So it's part of the application process. So it's, to me, it's very important to have it, especially if we're applying, for various grants. I look at it mostly as the guide for budgeting.
Sure.
When you're budgeting in the future, I just think this is a very valuable guide.
Sure. And when does the current one expire?
This year,
And so this will take effect January 1?
yeah, it'd start as soon as they approve it, is how I'm looking at it. And I think if you look into it, you'll see, for example, if you turn to Public Works,
Okay.
that starts in 2021.
Okay. Yeah, I just barely picked this up 5 minutes ago, so I haven't been through it.
It's been on our website since September 16th.
Okay, anything else from anyone on this? Then I guess we'll close the public hearing number 2 on the capital investment plan, and we'll call the regular Newport City Council meeting to order at 6:40. All members of the council are present. Others include our city manager, Laura Gogan, and James Johnson, our clerk treasurer. The next item is to approve the minutes of December 2nd, 2019, and also December 9th, 2019. And I guess I'll first take a motion for the December 2nd minutes.
Move to accept those December 2nd minutes.
A motion made, is there a second?
1 second.
Seconded, discussion on the December 2nd minutes. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I will abstain.
The motion carries with 1 abstention. And then the next one would be to approve the December 9th, 2019 minutes, and I would also entertain a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded, discussion on the December 9th minutes. Then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I'll abstain again.
Motion carries. There are no comments by members of the public, so at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the 5-year capital investment program.
I move to accept the 5-year capital investment program.
A motion's been made, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded, discussion? Then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. The next item is to set the 2020 regular city council meeting schedule. We all had copies in our packet. Oh, do you have the
That's okay.
original? I don't have one to sign.
That's okay, you can pass this one around and sign it.
Okay.
Copy it. Thank you.
But while that's being signed, we can probably still talk about, anybody have any issue? We're required by charter to meet the first Monday of the month unless it's a holiday, and then it's always been tradition to meet twice a month. And so, and this is what this schedule is.
Anybody notice any errors?
I didn't. Anybody? You took into account Labor Day, so we're meeting the Monday after that. You checked for, I didn't notice any Monday, I think that was the only Monday.
No, and July 4th is easier, the way it falls in the week, we don't have to bump into that one.
Right, right.
Right thing,
And we don't bump into the president's holiday. We're meeting the 3rd and the 10th.
Yep, yep, you do bump into Martin Luther King on January 2nd. But, I don't know, thank you.
Labor Day,
I think you're okay on Labor Day.
maybe.
You got 2 in a row though.
Yeah,
See?
in a row, so it's probably the Labor Day.
Yeah.
Yep,
Whenever you have 2 meetings in a row, it's because there's a Monday holiday, but for January 20th. And that's only based on what you've done in previous years. I didn't shift anything.
okay. Questions from anybody on this? Then we probably should have a motion to approve the 2020 schedule.
So moved.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, are you meeting on Martin Luther King Day?
Laura, are we,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
we've
think it's
traditionally,
the-
it's not a city
I
holiday.
understand that, but given that Vermont as a whole is dealing with issues around racial equality, that it does seem strange that you take time off on Columbus Day, which is hardly a day to celebrate, but you don't take Martin Luther King. It's just something to consider.
It's not a city holiday, Martin Luther King Day, correct, Laura?
We're good moving forward if the council chooses to do that.
Is the holiday set in the contracts?
No, it is not, so I think you're good.
Okay, any other discussion? Then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries. The next item is the USDA Community Facilities Grant Authorization for PD radios. We received, I'll have Seth give a little background, we did receive a copy of the project memo.
So this is a continuation of this year's USDA grant. This year's grant was a total of $69,952, $38,400 through the grant, and then the city's contribution of $31,552. That was to replace 4 mobile radios. It technically actually replaces 8 mobile radios in the cars. The new radios come in a dual band version, so most police departments operate on a UHF frequency. Most fire departments and a few of our federal law enforcement partners operate on VHF. The new radios combine UHF and VHF into one radio head, so it's less equipment to install and uninstall in cruisers, which is nice, and less equipment to maintain. So our radios were approaching 20 years old. Life expectancy is really 10 for radios, but because they're just so expensive, we just can't assume the financial responsibility in our operational budget. So when this grant opportunity came along, we jumped on it, but because of the magnitude of the grant, we only replaced 7 of the portable radios with officers wearing their belts, and then 4 out of the fleet of mobile radios that we have. Our plans are to take some of the old equipment and reutilize that in the mobile command post and replace, like I said, the mobile radios in the cruisers, and then 7 of the 14 officers will get new portable radios. The grant application before you is to continue that program and to finish out 1 remaining vehicle with a mobile radio and the remaining 7 officers with new portable radios. So the new grant application is for $52,900. The grant is for $29,100, and the city's match will be $23,800.
So everyone will stay in communication.
Yeah, not only will we be able to communicate now, in the way we're currently set up, we can't communicate with each other when we're outside the vehicle.
Okay.
With the new system, we'll be able to communicate with just about every law enforcement agency and fire and EMS agency that we do business with via the cars themselves or a portable radio.
That seemed to me to be a good thing.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have any questions about the specifics of the grant, or what the equipment actually is.
What's the award date if we are successful?
I'm gonna guess.
There's no firm date, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, I'm guessing it's gonna be around February or March.
Right.
Last year, that was when we heard,
October.
when we filed it at this time of year.
Okay,
And then when they had the government shutdown, that was a delay for things. Remember, February was shut down. I think
That's
they're still
right.
recuperating from that. So I would expect to hear from them, I would say, let's say sometime in March, so that we're not disappointed if it ends up being a little later.
any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
are all your radios now the same vintage? Are they all approximately 10 years old?
Yeah, the mobile radios in the cars are all the same vintage, yes. Portable radios, we do have a few that were updated throughout time,
Yeah.
but there are some radios downstairs that guys are using on their belts right now that are 17, 18 years old.
So is there a way that you can do a rotating replacement of like maybe 3 or over time, or?
That's the goal in the future, is to not let the equipment get so outdated so that we don't find ourselves in this exact predicament again. The other problem with technology, like anything else, if I say, okay, these 3 officers, I'm gonna replace your portable radio, but there's nothing wrong with it, I think the best way to do it is the way that we're doing it now with bulletproof vests, where we're budgeting something every year, but we're not obligated to purchase anything. And then when we have that pool of money and we say, I come to the council and say, 3 officers' radios crapped out on us and we need 3 more, we have a bank of money to pull from, as opposed to try to pull $23,800 in a match in 1
Right.
year. Which is exactly why we split it into 2 years, otherwise we would have been looking at 55,000 plus in 1 grant year, which was just too much to swallow.
That's exactly what Seth just described, is exactly what we've done in the restricted fund budget and in the capital operations budget, which you'll see that on the 30th when we go through that.
We actually have a program started now called PD Police Technology, so that would fall right into that grant, that same nomenclature where, a year from now, for whatever reason, one of the radios did die, we could pull from that bank.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to be clear in my own mind. If the officers who are using the current generation of mobile radios can't communicate with each other, does that mean that they have to go through dispatch in order to let people know if they need assistance or something?
I'm thinking specifically of Border Patrol, because they're on a different frequency than we are, they're on a different band than we are. So Border Patrol operates on the VHF frequency, where the police department operates on the UHF frequency. And up until this current technology that we're trying to get through this grant, there was no way to communicate with them at all, not even through our own dispatch. We do have simulcast capability in our dispatch now, which means Jamie calls in on the fire chief calls in on his VHF radio, and the police department's using their UHF radio. Through the equipment in dispatch, we can patch those 2 channels together and now talk. The problem with that becomes when you have 15 different firefighters on scene and 11 police officers on scene, you're all talking on 1 channel and you're all vying for the same radio space, you start walking on top of each other. Whereas with the new communications equipment, I can selectively decide, I want to talk to Border Patrol, or I want to talk to Newport City Fire, or I want to talk to Orleans County Sheriff's Department or the state police. It's all selectable. So I can keep 4 guys on 1 channel. These guys are required to do this particular task at whatever the scene may be. But now as the incident commander, I need to switch over and talk to the fire department to make sure that they're operating under the same auspices that the police department is, so on and so forth.
Okay.
No, I'm just wondering if there's any thought to replace the physical base radio, or was that all part of the dispatch when you put the new dispatch center in?
Yeah, the new dispatch, the base radio, as you refer to it, was replaced during the community facilities grant. I think that was 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. 2 years ago.
At least
2016, I think.
16.
3 years,
So
3 years, yeah.
Yeah, that was replaced then.
Other questions from any council members on this? Then we would need a motion to approve the grant, and we have a resolution to sign.
I'll make that motion.
The motion's been made, is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded, any discussion on this? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, just a quick question if I may. Are there enough radios for each officer to bring one home with him or her at the end of the shift? So if they have to respond to a senior POV or whatever, that they have it with them and on them? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Give me a copy of the grant application. Is there one up there?
It's 104 pages long.
Oh, jeez. Never mind.
You have to read that tonight and have it turned in tomorrow.
Why don't you take this is on our website as well.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
We'll move on. Mr. Johnson, new business. Mr. Charbonneau. Visible. I don't have any. No, nothing new?
I'd just like to mention the greenhouse. Greenhouse has been built, doesn't have a permit. And I really feel that if the city's gonna build something, they should have their permit in hand, just like any normal citizen.
It's going for a DRB hearing on that 8th, I think,
Yeah.
and Charlie's been kept informed. We were combating the elements, so.
I understand.
I agree, we are held to the same standard and we do try to comply.
Anything else? Any other new business? I'm just, anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. Old business, Mr. Johnson? No. Mr. Charbonneau? Any old business? The only old business I have is we had applied for the municipal planning grant, which was for $22,000. We were awarded the municipal planning grant, so it's $22,000. We had a 10% match, so we will be matching for $2,200. It's for the planning commission and work on the municipal plan, and the municipal plan will have to be completed by May 31st, 2021.
2021, yeah.
And so we were successful in that grant application for the $22,000.
It's great, it's gonna go out for procurement to find a consultant to work with the planning commission to write the plan. It's good.
So that's all I had on the old business. Well, the only other old business is, well, it was kind of new old business. I thought the rec department did a great job at the Pomelo family party on Saturday. It was great to see all the smiling kids and their parents, and Tony's grandson was a hoot. And so it was good. It was a nice event.
I appreciate all of you that made the time to come. That was very nice.
Yeah, it went very well. I was very pleased with that. And so with that, any old business?
Just that I probably have to maybe volunteer next year so I can have a sequined hat.
So you can what?
A sequined hat, Santa hat.
That's part of the
That
incentive.
was a highlight for me.
Motivates a lot of people.
One thing, you don't go away hungry.
That's right.
They put on quite a feed these side up there for that, so.
Okay, before you move on, Jess, can you describe what their gift was to the
Oh,
people that
yes,
were there?
because there was a gift announced, yes.
Yes. So every year, the children and the families that attend get a variety of different gifts that are donated by the community or funded by the Pomelos. And one of the gifts, the special gift that they asked us to present this year to the kids was a donation to the playground project. So we can put together a nice little slideshow or a nice little video for the kids with help from Newport Dispatch. And they are donating $12,000 for that. And as part of that donation, they asked us to make sure that every family there gets a brick. So that, families that may not otherwise have access to that program, so those kids will get to have their names on that playground. So we brought in about a little under 50 bricks through that, and then whatever's left, the donation will just go straight to the project. So it was a very nice and unique thing this year.
It's great. Kids loved it. You could hear a collective blue in the audience. They were really touched. Now they take some ownership in that park.
Good. Anything old business? Old business? Laura, any old business? All right. Before we do the executive session, we'll set the next meeting date. Usually we'll flip it around. The next meeting will be the budget meeting scheduled for Monday, December 23rd. And the next regular council meeting will be Monday, January 6th, 2020. And actually, whoops, I overlooked one thing. We will have a budget meeting December 30th, also at 6:30. So those are the next few dates for our meetings. And now we do need an executive session for labor relations agreement, 1 VSA 313A1.
Can I just say that, because it's labor relations, we're required by VSA, because it's a little confusing, we're required by VSA 313A1 to do this in 2 motions. The first motion that we have to approve, or choose to, that goes out, is that, to establish why we have to go into an executive session. And then the second, if we say, yeah, we need to do this, then the second motion we have to do is to enter executive session. So it's a 2-motion process. So for this particular, because it's labor relations. So I'll make the first motion to move to find, that's the formal language, move to find that premature general public knowledge will clearly place the city of Newport at a substantial disadvantage by disclosing labor relation negotiations.
So a motion was made. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded. Discussion on that motion? Then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. That motion carries. And now we need the second motion.
I'll do the second one too. So the second motion, I move that we enter executive session to discuss the city's labor relation negotiations under Title I of Section 313A1 of the Vermont State Statutes.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Discussion on that motion? Then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I'm just curious, which area of the city workforce is negotiating a contract now? I know that the police were last year, I believe.
Public Works.
Public Works.
Okay,
It's
great.
the Public
Thank
Works.
you very much.
Yep. They're just getting started.
We'll have a good time.